Yes, I'm here, Mr. Boyd. Can you hear me loud and clear? Thank you so much, Mr. Boyd, for that amazing introduction. And ditto right back at you. You know how much I love working with you. And this is just an amazing journey that we are all on together, the three of us actually. And today I'm actually on Facebook Live as well. So I want to say hey to everybody on Facebook. Thank you for joining, as well as thank all of you lovely women on the line. So, in continuing our month of discovery, today I want to talk about discovering how to get out of credit card debt once and for all, or finally get out of credit card debt. So, super women on the line, and even some gentlemen that may be on the line as well, or joining us on the Facebook Live. Credit card debt is one of those things that it is like a prison, okay? It's bondage. Debt, period, is bondage. We can never really become financially free if we have all this debt hanging over our head. It's virtually impossible. And that is one of those things that if we were taught very early on, then we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in right now. But fortunately, but unfortunately, at the same time, we weren't taught this stuff. So now we have to learn it. And now it's not our fault, but it is our responsibility to learn these different principles, get out of debt, especially so we don't leave the same type of burden or things for our children as well. We have to be able to teach them. You know, my nieces and nephews, I don't have any kids yet, but we have to be able to teach them exactly what they need to do. And credit card debt is just not the way to go. So we have to focus on getting out of credit card debt sooner rather than later. So what I want to go over is really quickly. Sometimes we talk about like our credit score and our credit score, stuff like that, and we know that that may be holding us back from getting the house that we want, getting the car that we want, in some cases even getting the job that we want. But it's really our FICO score that really determines that. About 80% of lenders look at our FICO score to determine if they're gonna even like landlords, they'll look at your FICO score, and some may look at your credit score as well, but it's about 80% that actually focus solely on the FICO score. I'm sorry, on the FICO score. And they look at this to determine if they'll rent you a home, but exactly what type of interest rate you'll get when it comes to any type of financing that you have, credit cards, student loans, and things like that. So we really need to work on improving our credit score and improving our FICO score. But the problem is, some of us just don't know how to get out of debt, right? And I know that it's a really big problem because sometimes you have all these bills coming in and you just don't know what to pay and in which order. Even if you pay them every single month, you still may feel like, how am I ever going to get out of this debt, right? And so I want to give you guys 5 tips, 5 tips really quickly on what you can do to get out of your credit card debt sooner rather than later. So, tip number 1. Now, this may sound crazy, but you can actually call your credit card company and ask them to increase your credit limit. Now, you may be like, Amma, why do I want more credit if I'm trying to improve my credit score? And the reason is because we have what's called a utilization ratio, and we want that ratio to be about 30%. That's what the creditors look at to determine if we are credit worthy, right? So basically, we don't want to use more than 30% of the credit that is allotted to us. So if you have, I don't know, 10,000, I'm gonna say 10,000. If you have like $1,000 and you ask them to increase your limit and you're only using about $300, then you're right at that 30%, right? So let's say if you're using 500 and you have $1,000 right now, you ask them to increase it to about 1,200. Now you're at that 30%. So you want to just be able to you can simply ask them, and believe it or not, sometimes they'll just increase it. Okay, so that's number 1. Just call the credit companies and ask them if they will increase your credit limit. Number 2, the second thing that you can do to work on improving your credit score and your FICO score as well, the second thing that you can do is don't close out any credit card. So if you pay off a credit card, don't close it out, because again, that's going to negatively affect your utilization ratio. Because now, in using our same example, you had $1,000 available to you, but if one of those credit cards was 500 and you close it out, now it looks like you're maxing out all your credit, because your balance that you have outstanding in other credit cards is $500, right? So now it looks like you're using 100% of the credit that's allotted to you. So you want to make sure that when you do pay off your credit cards, don't close any of them. Just leave them open and put them in the freezer if you have to. You can literally freeze them so you won't use them. Like, just put them in a bucket of water and put them in the freezer, right? So you still have them, but if you have to use it, you're going to go through a lot to defrost that credit card. And by that time, you will really think out, do you really need to make that purchase or not? That's if you didn't just memorize the number, right? Okay, number 3, I get this question a lot. We all know that we should have enough savings for 6 months of emergency, or some people even say 8 months of emergency, right? That we should have. And a lot of people will struggle between, do you need to save up money for your future, or do you need to focus on paying off your credit card, right? Okay, so you want to focus on paying off your credit card first. And here's why, super women on the line. Here's why. Because if you have your money in a bank, like a traditional bank, you aren't getting any more than like 1 or 2% interest, right? Whereas your credit card is charging you like 9, 10, 15% interest in some cases. So you'll never be able to outpace that. So you're losing money every single day that is sitting in a savings account. Because remember, over where it's with the credit card company, the interest is compounding every single day. So it's 18% times however much you owe every single day, whereas your savings is only 1%. So you're really losing money. You want to focus on getting out of debt first, and then put up your money for savings. I hope that makes sense. So number 4, always spend more than I'm sorry, I got a text message, it totally threw me off. I'm so sorry. Number 4, always pay more than the minimum amount. And here's what the credit companies do, right? Every time you pay the minimum amount, they'll lower the amount that you have to pay. So you literally end up paying this bill off forever. So maybe one month is $25. Now it's a little bit lower, so it's $23. So don't ever pay the minimum amount, because it's literally a trap that will keep you paying off the credit card for probably the next 15, 20 years. So pay more than they are asking you to pay. Always pay more than what they're asking you to pay. And then also just stop, like, try your best. It's going to sound crazy, but just stop putting things on your credit cards. If you can't afford it at this time, then just go without it. Even if you feel like you just have to have it, then just have to have it later, because the interest that you have to pay on it, especially with it compounding, is really going to be detrimental, especially when you understand how compounding interest works. I have a video that I posted maybe last month or something on my Facebook page, going over the effects of compounding interest and how it really works. So just try, super women on the line, just really try to not use your credit cards, because it's really, especially when you're trying to get out of debt. If you're trying to build a credit history, then that's something completely different. Okay. Number 5, and definitely not least, I hope you guys have a pen and a pad available. So this is what you want to do in order to pay off your credit card debt, like, once and for all. Okay, so first, of course, stop spending, right? So you want to do all the previous steps that I said. Now, what you want to do is list out all your credit cards on a sheet of paper. List out all the credit cards and the interest rate that you have on them, and the amount, the minimum amount that they are asking you for. Then when you list these cards out, list them with the highest interest rate first. So whichever is the highest interest rate, so you want to start like, this one is 22%, this one is 19, This one is 15, etc., etc. List them in order with the highest interest rate first, all the way down to the lowest interest rate. And right next to that, in another column, you want to put the minimum amount that they ask you to pay. Okay, so now you have the interest rate and the minimum amount that they ask you to pay. Now, total up all the minimum payments that they have you pay every single month. Okay, so now let's say, for the sake of our example, let's say the interest rate that they have you, I'm sorry, not the interest rate, the total amount that you have to pay for all the minimum payments is $300. Okay, so now let's say it's $300. Now, what you want to do is multiply that total 300 times 20%. Okay, now that'll give you $60. So what I want you to do is now you go up to that very first credit card, and let's say it was $60 they were asking you to pay every single month. Now you want to pay $60 that they were asking you to pay, and add the $60, which was the 20%, add that $60 to the monthly payment. And you do that every single month. Now, for the remaining credit cards, you still want to go ahead and pay what you can. Hopefully, you'll be paying more than what they ask you to pay, but you still want to pay what you can on those. Now, once you pay that very first credit card off with the highest interest rate, now you want to take that whole balance. So in our example, it was $60 plus you added another 60, so $120. So now you want to take that 120 and you want to add that to your second credit card. So if your second credit card is asking you to pay $30, now you're paying $30 plus 120. Okay, and then you want to continue to do that process. Just add. Don't feel like once you pay that balance off, super women on the line, once you pay that balance off, please do not feel like you have an extra $120 to spend on whatever. No, you don't. Now, what I need you to do is take that balance and apply it to the next credit card. Pay off that second credit card. Now, use that balance, apply that to the third credit card, and pay that off. And super women on the line, you will be out of debt in no time. And any gentlemen that have joined us as well, I really hope that this was helpful to you guys on the line. Also, feel free to shoot me an inbox if you want a worksheet or a detailed explanation. I have something that I already worked out for you guys. Just shoot me an inbox and I can send it over to you. And I'm Amma the CPA, so I'm going to get out of here and introduce our next speaker to the line.